Goodman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority.
8:37, standing by on the line is Congressman Michael Burgess of the 26th District of the state of Texas, a man who was in the room last night when the president delivered his State of the Union address. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here with you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, listen, we just heard from Josh Earnest at the White House. He made his case for what the president was trying to say. What did you take away from the president's State of the Union address?
Well, I'm a physician by trade and training, and with a background in healthcare, I guess I was a little surprised. In fact, I was astonished that there was not some discussion of this now not quite 2-year-old healthcare law that's the president's signature issue for his first term. The fact that it was almost completely ignored, except that I guess we can all feel glad that adding 15 million people to state Medicaid rolls is actually a reformation of the private insurance market. So I don't know where that came from. I don't know, but we'll deal with that, I guess.
He mentioned last night a couple of different things. Number one, the fairness of the tax code. He got into immigration, how we need to get into that. We talked again about mortgages. It was my belief that, we heard this in 2009, we heard it in 2010, we heard it in 2011. To me, it was, a blueprint that really not much has been done by this president in the last couple of years.
Well, certainly an admission that even with a Democratic Congress, a heavily Democratic Congress in the first 2 years of his term, many of these things laid on the table and were not seen as accomplishments, and now they're being recycled. And guess what? Congress is perhaps a little more hostile to some of these ideas than they were the first 2 years of his first term. And it's a political year. Let's be honest. What's going to happen between now and November is going to be pretty much just whatever has to happen. The rest of it's going to be left to politics. And it was a political speech last night. I don't think there's any question about that. It's not just on the Republican side. I mean, the president and congressional Democrats are going to play it the same way.
Were you surprised that he doubled, perhaps tripled or quadrupled down on investments like Solyndra?
Oh, the administration, in my view, just my opinion, I'm not speaking for the committee, but, we do have an open investigation into what's happened with Solyndra and what's happened since Solyndra declared bankruptcy and how the taxpayer portion was subordinated to venture capitalists. They need to come clean with us. The old Clinton mantra was when you got bad news, you get it out early, you get it out often, you tell it yourself. Mm-hmm. And they have stonewalled us on this thing. And, I got to tell you, it just looks more and more that there was some significant involvement, manipulation by the White House. And in some ways it looks like it was done to benefit political donors. And, that's not something you want out there percolating around in an election year. And I still, for the life of me, I don't know why they have not been more forthcoming. I don't know why it's been so difficult to get information, and I'm literally going to force the committee and the Congress to do something that can create even more unpleasantness for them. And I don't, for the life of me, I don't know why they're doing that. He referenced previous R&D investments and how they paid off. He talked about the shale gas and the fact that we have more natural gas now than we've had in past years, and the industry is to be commended for that. Yes, there were federal R&D dollars 15, 20 years ago. Devon Energy down in my neck of the woods in the Barnett Shale, where they combined the horizontal drilling with the hydraulic fracturing, and that has yielded big time in gas deposits. I was somewhat surprised to hear him say that he did not share the same angst that many of the people on the environmental left do about hydraulic fracturing. Okay, I'll take him at his word. He needs to talk to Lisa Jackson, though, because she's certainly doing everything she can to put out draft reports that are critical before they've been vetted by peer review.
Lisa Jackson with the EPA.
Yes.
Now, is that a case of good cop, bad cop?
I don't know, but it was. And you know what people end up seeing? Of course, George Bush took our light bulbs away from us, and now this president took our asthma inhalers away from us January 1st, and you have Lisa Jackson saying, well, I'm trying to reduce asthma rates in this country, but I can't use my old over-the-counter CFC inhaler anymore because of her.
You come from Dallas, Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yes,
your district covers the northern part of that area. And so you know a little bit about, you're on the Energy Committee. You know about energy. The president almost sounded like he was the most pro-energy, natural gas is the future, and, but the fact of the matter is when you talk to oil people, they find themselves, am I correct, completely stymied by the Obama administration.
Well, there is a lot of fear because these things require huge investments, long time horizons. I mean, they don't think in terms of a few months to the next election. They're thinking of 25, 50 years down the road for developing some of these projects. And yeah, they don't know what the landscape's going to be, so they do get concerned. But yeah, there were several times last night I thought, well, who put Boone Pickens up there?
All right. Do you believe that something can be done between now and the election when it comes to the pipeline, or is that just a dead deal until after 2013?
Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah.
We're actually having a hearing on that right now. I just stepped out of it to talk to you guys. For the life of me, I do not understand that. Can you think for a minute that Bill Clinton would have made this decision on the Keystone Pipeline?
I don't think he would. No.
No.
He would have taken the jobs and taken the money. And where else are the environmental left going to go on Election Day anyway? I just do not understand. It was stunning when he said that, as bad as we need the jobs, as bad as we need the energy, American jobs, American energy for the American economy, I just couldn't. I was stunned. Because all summer we'd been hearing that, hey, no additional legislation is necessary. The president's going to make a decision. This thing will be carried forward before 2011 is done. And here we sit in early 2012. It is not even no closer.
Right.
He's put a lid on it, but we're going to try to uncork it because it is such an important project. And these are not taxpayer dollars. I mean, these are not cylinder dollars. These are not stimulus dollars. These are private sector dollars from the real economy that are being invested to create jobs.
But is there a way legislatively to unlock that lid, or is it just up to the administration and him and the State Department and him going and saying, all right, we were wrong about this, or we changed our mind about it?
Well, we're looking at ways to override it. One is through the regulatory authority through FERC, although they seem somewhat to be reluctant participants in this discussion this morning in the hearing, and that's what the hearing is about. Lee Terry from Nebraska has a bill to allow FERC the authority for the siting. I mean, let's face it, if this was not crossing a line on a map, if this was not crossing the Canadian border, this would all be under the purview of federal regulators, state regulators. The president would not have to sign off on anything. He would be uninvolved in this. He wouldn't have a veto. The fact that it's crossing the border is what creates this additional layer of difficulty.
All right, Congressman Burgess, good to have you on. Thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Brian Cass.